just a few miles south of Atlanta, Georgia, and only a few hundred yards off of the Peach Blossom Trail at Atlanta International Raceway. We're here for the Kraco Atlanta 200, the first race of Championship Auto Race Team's 1983 season. Hello, I'm Paul Page, and normally the first race of the season is held in Phoenix, but the rains over the winter in the southwest United States have washed out the roads that lead into Phoenix, so the first race is being held here at Atlanta. Here with us, too, is three-time Indianapolis 500-mile race winner Bobby Unser. And, you know, over the winter, they tried to slow the cars down by changing the rules. Now, last year, Bobby, the first 5 cars were over 200 miles an hour. But here today, the first 8 cars are over 200, and 2 fellas are over last year's track record. What happened?
That comes from a lot of development, Paul, and it always happens. Whenever they make rules to slow the cars down, the guys just start developing harder and working harder. For example, Penske's cars have run over 6,000 test miles this winter. Patrick has probably run a good 4,000 miles in his cars, and they just are a little bit faster than they were last year.
The front row, Rick Mears and Johnny Rutherford, are both over last year's track record. And both those gentlemen are right now with our Gary Gerald. Gary?
Paul, indeed, familiar faces here in the front row. 5 times a winner here at Atlanta, Rick Mears, the defending champion. 3 times a winner, Johnny Rutherford. The only other man ever to win at this racetrack, Mario Andretti, and that was back in 1966. You broke the record yesterday, and I wonder if you scared yourself in the process because they were spectacular laps, Rick.
Well, I definitely did scare myself, but luckily the Pennzoil PC-11 was forgiving enough to keep me on the track, and it paid off and went very well.
This fellow that starts next to you is going awful quick. Rutherford is back in 83.
Yeah, he sure is. He is running tough, and I think he's really got a good race set up and prepared well, so I think it's going to be a good race. There's a lot of guys running close and running tight, and I think we're in for an interesting race today.
To say the least. John, he has won this race the last 4 times. You've won it 3 times in the past. What are your chances this afternoon?
Well, I hope they're very good. We had an opportunity to break the record as well yesterday, and my new car, the Sea Ray Wildcat of Pat Patrick's, is doing a super job for a brand new race car. The first time we've ever had it on the racetrack in competition. So I'm looking forward to the race. It gives us a chance to find out what the car will do and a chance to see if I'm still up to going around for 200 miles.
I don't think anybody expected the speeds we've seen. They have been spectacular indeed. A couple of veteran, familiar faces in the front row. But there are other new faces that challenge in this race. Bruce Jenner has that story.
Thank you, Gary. And these are rookies on the IndyCar circuit, but not to the world of motor racing. First, driving car number 17, a very familiar name, but a new face. Al Unser Jr., 21 years old, from Phoenix, Arizona, former Super V and Can-Am champion. Driving car 12, John Paul Jr., also comes from a race car driving family. He'll be tough on the IndyCar circuit when they go to road courses because he's a former IMSA champion, driving a Penske PC-10. Driving car number 41, Doug Heverin, 21 years old, from Brewerton, New York. 59 feature wins and 4 International Super Modified Association wins. Driving car number 34, Derek Daly, 30 years old, from England. He was teammate to K.K. Rosberg last year on the Williams team when K.K. won the World Championship. 1976 British Formula 4 champion, 1977 British Formula 3 champion. Car 33, Teo Fabi, 27 years old, from Milan, Italy, a former downhill ski racer. Started off in go-karts and moved all the way up to Can-Am in 1981 and Formula 1 in 1982. They're all champions in their own field, but now they start all over again as rookies on the IndyCar circuit. But they're not the only ones facing new situations this year. A lot happened this winter as a lot of the old faces in this sport came up with new sponsors and new cars.
Last year, the team to beat in kart racing belonged to Roger Penske. And most of the records and most of the races belong to this man, the defending national champion, Rick Mears. His teammate, Kevin Cogan, also had an excellent season. But now the winter has passed, and things have changed. Cogan has driven off to another team, and Rick Mears is wearing new colors. The Pennzoil sponsorship has moved to his car, and both of the Penske cars are now bright yellow. And Al Unser has moved up to join Rick Mears on the Roger Penske team. Cars 1 and 7. But Kevin Cogan was able to find work with the winningest chief mechanic in history, George Vignotti. He goes back to wearing his old Formula Atlantic helmet and teams up with Tom Sneva. The combination should prove for victories for both of them. At the end of the season, Jim Hall closed down the Chaparral Racing team, leaving Johnny Rutherford without a ride. But after shopping around, he found the number 40 car, the machine belonging to Pat Patrick. And Johnny Rutherford was back into the fight. He now joins Gordon Johncock. And with Pat Patrick's team, it should look good for both of these men. Rutherford's 40 car used to belong to this man, Mario Andretti. Last year, he was with Pat Patrick. But now a new team has been formed. The car is a new Lola, the driver Mario Andretti, and this should be a wonderful effort as well. This team is owned by driver-actor Paul Newman, and he's backed up by Carl Haas, who has had successes with his Lola for years. So there are some marvelous teams and drivers ready for the start of this 1983 kart season. And on one of the cars, this view over the right-hand shoulder of Johnny Rutherford, our live onboard camera. Now for that famous command, here's Larry Cranes, the president of the sponsor of this race, Kraco Enterprises.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Challenge is ready. Now 22 cars have started their engines and they're ready for this 200 miles. An important moment for the drivers, Bobby.
That's right. The guys in the front are probably thinking about what each one of them is going to do, what the other guy's going to do, and the guys in the back probably got more butterflies than you could count.
There's Johnny Rutherford on the outside of the front row, and we are ready for 200 miles on this high bank race course at Atlanta International Raceway. Gordon Johncock won 2 500-mile races last year, but could not complete a victory in the Triple Crown Series. There is the front row. They are poised and ready to go, as all of the crews now indicating that their engines are fired and ready to move out. They wait only for the signal from the pace car. The men with their hands in the air saying that they are ready to go. The engines are fired. Gordon Johncock is ready. Johnny Rutherford is ready. The pole sitter, Rick Mears, is ready. We are ready here at NBC Sports World. Mario Andretti, he is in his backup car because during the practice, he crashed his primary car, so there's a question mark there. There's that new Penske PC-11, and Tom Sneva sits prepared to go. 200 miles, 132 laps in front of these drivers. The first race of the season. There is a lot of tension here. A number of unknown quantities. Everyone trying to figure out the new rules and trying to decide who is going to be the fastest, who will win this race, and who will be the national champion at the end of the season that lies ahead. Al Unser, his new colors, car number 7. He's ready for what he hopes to be a winning season as well. And there again, the view over Johnny Rutherford's shoulder. You can see the flashing lights on the pace car just ahead. The view is from the outside of the front row. You can see his manifold pressure gauge there. It will be a marvelous view. Mario Andretti is straight ahead as they begin to pull away now. And the field begins to move away for the start of the Kraco Atlanta 200. We'll be back coming up shortly with the lineup and with the pace laps for this race right after this.